Admit it or not, there's a certain truth when the famous author Dan Brown called Manila the gates of hell due to traffic jams. According to the Japan International Cooperation Agency, if time is converted to labor, Manila is losing 2.4 billion pesos a day due to time spent being stuck in traffic. Even the NSCB, or the National Statistical and Coordination Board, admits through its recent report that it requires even greater efforts to increase travel speed in Manila, and with this setup, progress buffers. In response to these reports, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, recently implemented 2 bus regulations that aim to decongest traffic in Metro Manila: the provincial bus ban and the bus segregation scheme. Under the provincial bus regulation, a 24 million peso terminal called the Southwest Interim Transport Terminal was built at the Coastal Mall. This serves as the boundary for provincial buses. 2 others will be built in Quezon City and in Muntinlupa City. Bus segregation scheme, meanwhile, labeled buses with letters A, B, and C. Each letter has assigned bus stops along EDSA. The MMDA hopes that these regulations will ease traffic congestion in the metro. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. There are 85 bus terminals in Metro Manila, according to the MMDA. In EDSA alone, there are more than 300,000 vehicles every day. Now, obviously, a decongestion plan is needed, but our question tonight is, are the recent bus regulations implemented in Manila, such as the provincial bus ban and bus segregation scheme, the right solution to decongest traffic? Good evening, I'm Rod Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views. All right, joining us tonight in our discussion on the effectiveness of MMDA's bus regulations is Tina Velasco, spokesperson of the Metro Manila Development Authority, or MMDA.
Good evening.
Tina, good evening.
Good evening.
Your quick thoughts.
My quick thoughts is, yes, from a management perspective, the bus management is a very important way to solve traffic solutions for Metro Manila. Absolutely, we can defend that to the fullest.
Okay, and with us also is Mr. Alex Yage, President of the Provincial Bus Operators Association of the Philippines. Alex?
Good evening, Rod. Good evening, Tina.
Your 2 cents worth?
Definitely, based on what happened, the MMDA already implemented the bus segregation scheme and the Southwest Terminal, and we still have a lot of traffic.
So your position is it's not the buses?
It's not working.
All right. Now, Tina, let's move on. No? Your thesis is that the buses are the main cause of traffic, and because of this, you started implementing, or you're planning to implement.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on this, and can you tell us why you really focused on the buses?
All right, okay. From the perspective of where traffic is right now, dapat makita po natin yung pangkalahatang resulta nitong ginagawa natin. Hindi lang siya it's not only two projects, but actually from a whole perspective of, there are 3 terminals that are going to be created to segregate our buses from the city buses and the provincial buses. Right now, there's 13,698 buses that are roving around Metro Manila, 7,300 of which are provincial buses. And one would actually wonder, in the light of traffic and traffic costs and transport costs, there's a difference between transport costs of 2.4 billion and a traffic cost of 386 million per day. So those are 2 big issues right now screaming before us. And when you see all disconnects, you would wonder now, what are provincial buses doing at the heart of Metro Manila? So yun yung tanong natin. So while kailangan nating ihatid ang ating mga mananakay sa bawat destinasyon, may paraan kung paano natin sila ihatid ng maayos. Hindi natin sinasabing alisin dahil walang nagpo-probinsya, hindi po totoo yan. Aayusin lang po natin sa napakagandang sistema kung paano sila makakapunta from point A to point B, at ima-manage natin, i-rationalize natin yung number of buses based on travel demand na pang-araw-araw, na ma-divide natin ang road sharing sa public transport na napakahalaga sa ating lahat, and then we go to our private vehicles and down to non-motorized transports and down to the secondary roads, that has to be fixed. It is also very important for us to look into what are the quick, low-hanging solutions that we can find. And we see that the bus transport federations are going to be good allies in solving our traffic. We begin to talk with them because why? They are actually ferrying 69% of our travelers every day. And therefore, kailangan ayusin natin.
I'd like to rebut yung sinabi ni Tina na why are we all going to Manila? Because Manila is the center of government, the center of learning, the center of business. So everybody has to go to Manila. If you're coming from the south, from the north, from the east, from the west, everybody congregates in Metro Manila. And therefore, there's a need for provincial buses to ferry passengers from all of these provinces to Manila.
Pero kailangan bang pumasok sila in Metro Manila or...
Okay, I'm going to that.
All right.
So, like what happened, MMDA has identified 3 areas for this interim transport terminals. One in Cavite, in the Coastal Mall, one in Trinoma, in Quezon City, one in Muntinlupa. However, if you look at Metro Manila per se, there are 7 entry and exit points. How can we reconcile yung 7 points ng entry at saka exit into 3 chosen terminals? Walang connection whatsoever. At the same time, no, assuming you say na integrated terminal yan, there should be another mode of service that will connect the provincial commuters from the chosen terminal to be able for the passengers to go to their respective destinations.
And ngayon, wala pa yon.
Wala yun eh. You have to walk, what happened sa Southwest Terminal, yung provincial commuters from Batangas and Cavite have to endure a lot of inconvenience in the rain, no?
Sir Alex, mag-rebat lang po
Yeah.
ako ha. Urbanization is something that we are embracing sa MMDA. Gusto natin yan. Napaka-economical to manage 636 square kilometers of high economic contribution. 33% na magiging 55% pa yung pagpalalakihin natin. Ang problema po talaga natin pag-manage ng ating transport systems. Public transport ang magiging solusyon talaga ng traffic natin. Kailangan lang talaga nating ayusin. Para ang lahat ng mga mananakay ng pribadong sasakyan will no longer even opt to buy another car. Pag-aayusin natin yung sistema. Now, here's the process. We have to go, hindi natin sinasabi, hindi natin pinag-aralan lahat ito. Tinawag din namin kayo several times. We've even told everybody moratorium na wala na po mag-build ng stations. But yes, we are embracing all the imperfections where it is right now. Pero hindi natin sinasabi na we're gonna give it up because we're gonna solve all those amenity issues. Nagpabubong na po tayo, nagpapadagdag ng comfort room, nagdagdag na rin po kami ng free space, may mga signages na rin po kami. Those are the birth pains, kahit ganyan pong kakapal na libro ang aming pinag-aaralan ngayon, led by the DOTC, where DPWH will set up the terminal in the south of the southeast, yung galing ng sa SLEX, at ang north naman ay pangungunahan ng DOTC na galing naman sa for NLEX. We are actually the plan is really to integrate. Now, we're shooting ourselves on the foot. Sabi mo 7 entry points. Ngayon 86 different routes tayo from the provinces. Doon pa lang haywire na talaga tayo. So what we plan to do is, we cannot set up we cannot do 7 entry points. That would be very expensive. But we can at least manage down to 3 a rationalization of zones of entry points.
Yep.
So we cannot really address all of them all at the same time.
Actually, Tina, yun ang problema eh. Because you have identified the 3 chosen points ng terminals, and yet you have not talked to the stakeholders. Yung commuters, hindi nila alam. You know, I tried to use the Southwest Terminal. I could just imagine yung mga tao, no, na naglalakad ng napakalayo in the rain, in the sun. And kasi kung ganito yung klase ng improvement na gagawin natin, nais nga yung traffic, let's say, assuming naka-ease ng traffic yan, Pero at what expense?
At the expense of that.
At
Now,
the expense of the passengers? Mahawa naman kayo eh.
we have this regulation, which is the provincial bus ban. No? Are we ready for this? As mentioned nga by Alex, you know, we see passengers competing now for lesser number of vehicles.
We need to clarify first that the setup right now is an interim terminal. No? This is a 1972 issue, and we are trying to get into the political will just to do it and make sure that it will work and prove that it will work. It may not be working now, but it's part and parcel of the process of perfecting it. But we just have to do it. We just had to do it as a temporary measure, but with the end in mind that by 2015, the destination design and the destination locations will already be implemented and headed by the DOTC, but still relegated to the two other agencies. What Chairman Tolentino did is, sige, let's start on it already right now. Let's perfect the process. Let's now understand the dynamics of this, address the concerns of commuters, and if they're complaining, let's better face it, and therefore let's solve it.
Right.
So there is no intention to disregard the welfare of our passengers.
Yeah.
Right now, in just less than 2 weeks, Chairman already petitioned in even the day before is the lessening of our fare increase, because I know we know very well that's another issue. And because there's also an ongoing LTFRB from a whole perspective of provincial bus management to city management to city public transport management. So lahat yan pinag-aaralan. Nauna lang talaga.
Speaking of what you study, on your study, did you ever make a review, no, or an analysis of the of how full really or how maximized these buses are? Is there an average capacity that the buses have, let's say, given that let's say 8 hours or 12 hours that they fly?
Right. Okay, in general, the study indicates that there's only 45% average filled up capacity every day around Metro Manila.
Alex, so kung 45%,
but
so you're occupying,
average.
you're occupying yung 55% empty.
Actually, Rod, misnomer yan eh. Pag tinignan mo ang load factor ng buses, dalawa lang yung puno yung bus eh, during peak hour in the morning and peak hour in the afternoon. Unfortunately, yung business natin dito sa Manila, nag-start ng 8 to 5. Ang eskwelahan, alas 7 hanggang siguro 9 ng gabi. Ang mga ospital, mga government offices, 8 to 5 o 9 to 6 yan. So, pagdating sa umaga, talagang may peak hour yan. Puno yung bus. Pagdating ng in between, from siguro 9 hanggang 4 ng hapon, makikita mo walang laman yan. Kasi nasa opisina pa yan, nasa school pa yan. Pero pag uwian na yan, puno na naman yan, nakatayo yan, naka-standing yung bus. So, pag nakikita mo, pag tinignan mo yung averaging, talaga makikita mo may mga oras na walang laman yung bus. Kasi, yun ang peak and lean na hours eh. Pero kailangan pag-aralan mo yon in such a way na siguro kung gusto natin na ma-decongest during the peak hours, baguhin natin yung schedule natin ng pasok, schedule ng government offices.
But Alex, you're complaining essentially. I would assume you're complaining because obviously, if they stop you from entering, the buses from entering, it lessens your revenue. Pero ngayong nag-offer sila ng integrated terminals, and I would assume it's for free. You don't charge them.
It is for free because the government is running it right now, and there's no intention to make money out
so
of it.
Di kayo nakakasave ba kayo from the docking base that you don't have to rent anymore?
Pero can you just imagine, Rod, just entering and going out of the terminal, siguro mga 500 meters o 1 kilometer yung queuing ng buses doon. And yung mga pasahero, they cannot wait for the buses to enter the terminal. Doon pa lang sa queue, doon sa Macapagal Avenue, bumababa na sila, naglalakad na ng malayo. Wala kaming choice but to use it eh. Pero nakita naman nila, I'm sure everybody na pumunta ron, pag nakita mo, ang layo-layo ng queue, nagagalit yung MMDA, pag yung pasahero bumababa nandun sa bus, maglalakad ng malayo. Sabi na, hindi pwede yan bumaba kasi maglalakad kayo ng malayo.
Doon niya
maghihintay siya ng 30 minutes na nakahinto doon yung bus eh. Hindi siya makapasok doon sa
Sir
terminal.
Alex, one of the things that we are actually doing is pagbaba pa lang is there's a city walk already. There's already a walk going to the city bus, dispatching. So those are the improvements that we actually did, and we put some roof. But
Dapat siguro, Tina, puntahan mo muna eh. Ma-experience mo.
Alright.
Kasi pag sabi ko nga sa kanila, lahat kayo nasa gobyerno, tingnan muna ninyo, sumakay kayo ng bus,
Experience it, oo.
lakarin ninyo, tingnan ninyo kung kayo, happy kayo, yun ang commuter,
Alright.
yun ang happy sila.
Unfortunately, this time now we have to take a short break. But at this point, we'd like to take our viewers' opinion on the issue through our online poll. No? Our question is, are recent bus regulations implemented in Metro Manila, such as the provincial bus ban and bus segregation scheme, the right solution to decongest traffic? The results are 65% said no, while 35% yes, this is the solution. So join the discussion online. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/solaropposingviews, or follow us also on Twitter at opposing_views. Use the hashtag #opposingviews. We'll take a short break. More on the issue of decongesting traffic when Opposing Views returns. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. Still with us, Tina Velasco, spokesperson of the Metro Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, and Alex Yague, president of the Provincial Bus Operators Association of the Philippines. And we're still discussing if the MMDA's bus regulation schemes are effective in lessening the traffic burden in Metro Manila. Now, I'll start off the second part of our show. Is this a fight more against the colorum or talagang just the buses?
Ang MMDA and DOTC, LTFRB, LTO, ang daming ng programs, Rod. So, yung kanilang tinawag na bus segregation scheme, before you are given a particular yung bus stop or letter A, B, C, no? You have to present your franchise from LTFRB. So, hindi ka kung 10 lang yung franchise mo, 10 lang yung tag na makukuha mo. 20% na A, 40% na B, 40% na C. So, yung kagad, wala nang colorum dun eh. Pangalawa, in-implement din nila yung biometric scheme sa organized bus route. No? So, ang driver ng particular company, gagamitin na ng biometrics. Pagka yung bus, wala siyang franchise, yung driver, marami siyang violation, hindi na makapagmaneho. So, I cannot understand why they're still claiming maraming colorum. Wala na sigurong walang franchise na nag-ooperate. Imposible. Ang dami nang uhuli. Highway Patrol, Police Patola, nandiyan pa yung LGU, nandiyan ba yung barangay, MMDA, at saka napakarami.
But Tina, is this the reason why you chose to attack the buses first? Is because you want to attack maybe indirectly the colorum?
There has been, yes, absolutely. There has been a theory or some observation or an estimate that around 20% would be colorum buses right now, whether you're provincial or city. And even LTFRB would argue, we think it's 30%. True enough, when we did the anti-colorum drive with the LTFRB and the MMDA, together with all the transitioning to the central provincial terminal, there's around 75 colorum buses already caught. Kasama po doon marami talaga out of line. And that already tells us what kind of compliance we have when we get our franchise. So ang argument nga po doon is kung talagang dapat na nasa Cubao siya, ba't hindi siya dumiretso ng Cubao at hindi magbabuendia? So therefore, when they're given franchise, it's on the basis of a certain route, we have to keep to that principle. Ganun po. So ngayon, nakakapuno rin po yun ng problema at nakakadagdag rin po yun ng traffic. Alalahanin din po natin that even our provincial buses, when they cross the streets of the inner core of Metro Manila, some of them are also empty at the height of traffic. Yung mga nakapatayang ilaw because they move from one depot to another at the height, and if there's anything that puzzles us is bakit kaya sa paglipat ng depot they're also competing during the peak hours. So we are also wondering why even on their own they cannot regulate that. You know, if we can reframe the question, not only those two are the solutions of traffic, but basically the bus management per se will be a very big solution to our everyday traffic because of a few givens already. Limited roads, 300,000 private cars.
There,
and
I want to cut you right
you
there.
know,
I want to cut you right there because
Mhm.
you said earlier 69% of the vehicles are private vehicles,
Right,
and only
right.
31% are the buses. Now,
Right.
I'll
And it's a reverse when it comes to the number of
it seems that there seems to be in terms of number.
Yes.
If I was going to argue in sheer number,
For the private sector talaga, and the private car vehicles are actually causing our congestion.
ba't nauna yung buses though? Ba't nauna yung buses?
Because we can regulate it. It's a free market right now. We don't have policies that can actually contain private car ownership, and it's market-driven right now. And why is it market-driven? Pag ganito ang kondisyon ng ating mga pampasaherong bus at pampasaherong jeepney, you will really aspire at your first salary, if you have extra money, you really aspire to buy a brand new car. So we cannot stop people from doing that.
I think 2012, I think 200,000 new vehicles. No? But ang point nga lang doon, when we made EDSA and nilagay natin yung train doon, nag-create tayo ng bottleneck Kasi pagdating dun sa mga crossing points, yung 8-lane na EDSA o 6-lane na EDSA, naging 2 lanes na lang. So, yung traffic, sasabihin natin, EDSA kasi yun ang reflection ng buong Metro Manila However, when we made the MRT, nilagay natin sa gitna ng EDSA, talagang na-create tayo ng congesting spots in EDSA. So, you look at Ayala, Guadalupe, Ortigas, doon talaga makaka-traffic yan. So,
Kama natin ng Cubao, sir. Nandun yung mga public transport. Yan din yung mga provincial terminals ng Cubao, EDSA. Sige, sir, continue.
Unless binigyan natin ng solution yan, yung mga spots na yan, traffic spots na yan, congestion spots, we can never solve the problem.
Kung widen natin ng Buendia or Ayala, yung mga Dasmariñas homes dyan, medyo we'll have to expropriate yan.
Ayun ang kailangang political will.
Baka may matamaan na senator dyan. Or ano. Now, okay, let's go to the bus segregation naman. Okay, the other policy, no, which you itong bus segregation ba, Alex, in your opinion, has it worked at all? Has it lessened the traffic situation?
Actually, ako person nakita ko yung malaki improvement, no. Kaya lang after 2-3 months hindi na properly hindi fully implemented kasi naging lax na yung MMDA.
We would tend to agree because that's how we see it right now. Aminin po namin na meron pa tayong mga enforcement opportunities at saka meron din tayong by sheer number of passengers at one point in time hindi ma-accommodate in that roof. Now, meron din tayong mga colorum waiting sheds na nakikita nyo ngayon. Yung mga walang kulay na pula at saka blue, ay may mga suddenly you have like nagko-construct ngayon kasi meron po tayong TRO against a certain group who allows them to actually put their own stations with their own billboards and their own advertisements, and we are not allowed to touch them.
Okay.
Nalungkot kami doon dahil nasisira yung prinsipyo natin na aayusin sana na dapat tamang sakayan at tamang babaan. So we are actually challenged by that. So that's one, but it's not an excuse. We still have to fix our own system to prove that it works. At the same time, when you have a parking lot of the entire EDSA, and only let's just make our small example EDSA because everybody can relate to that main avenue. Your entire parking lot of buses now will actually tend to make people walk along the streets of EDSA the whole time. Nasisira rin yung prinsipyo. Bakit nga kasi matraffic. So if we are going to start eventually rationalizing, eventually fixing our systems, fixing our dispatching system, yung yellow lane na yun ay in its purest form, ay magtuloy-tuloy ang daloy, then it makes sense to segregate the bus stops. We did a democratic principle here where 40% would be bus A, 40% would be bus B, and 20% remaining bus C where everybody else stops. Kaso sa lahat ng yun, lahat nag-C at lahat nag-B, yung may nag-aagawan pa rin tayo kasi nga napakaraming bus at one point in time.
Well, I use EDSA a lot, no? I usually pass EDSA at least once a day or twice a day. So I can see meron namang coordination. No? However, maraming, as I mentioned, maraming mga agencies na nakikialam sa implementation ng traffic laws. So aside from MMDA, which should be, siguro kung siya na ang talagang merong responsibility ng traffic, di siya na lang. No? But actually, if you pass by EDSA, lahat ng LGU nakikialam dyan. Andiyan pa LTFRB, LTO, and whatnot. Lahat ng klase ng pulis nakikialam pa dyan. So, can you just imagine pag napakaraming mag-implement ng traffic laws?
Right.
You have chaos.
Yeah, of course. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. No, here's one thing: we disagree in many ways, but there's one thing I know we all agree with, and that's the traffic. That the traffic in Metro Manila is getting worse day by day. Now we need to listen to each other. There's a reason why transportation and communication are in the same department, the OTC. So let's start with strengthening interagency work before we pass on the burden to the thousands of commuters every day. Now at this point, let's take a final look at our online poll. Our question: are the recent bus regulations implemented in Manila, such as the provincial bus ban and bus segregation scheme, the right solution to decongest traffic? Now the accumulated votes from all our online platforms, here's the result. Yes, 46%, and no, 54%. And that's our opposing views for tonight. Tune in again next week for another bold and engaging discussion on the most relevant issues of today. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. Good night and God bless.